Kedarka would also be chayiv knas. This is the way Taisus, that is printed on the bottom of Mem Amud Aleph in Dibra Maschul Yomru. The Taisus learns that a biyashlo kedarka is chayiv knas. Taisus brings two more rayas that a biyashlo kedarka is chayiv knas. First of all, he brings a raya from our Gemara in Kedushin, that the Gemara in Kedushin says that Bo Oleho Yud, that if 10 people lived with a woman, Va'adayin hi besula, and she is still a besula, meaning that all 10 had lived with her a biyashlo kedarka. So the Gemara says that Rebbe holds that concerning knas, all of them have to pay. It is possible that all 10 should be chayiv knas, because since after a biyashlo kedarka she's still a besula, that everyone along the way has to pay knas. So we see from that Gemara that a biyashlo kedarka is chayiv knas. Taisus brings a second raya from the Gemara in Yevamos on Daf Nun Tes, that the Gemara says concerning the mitzvah of v'lo sia l'isha, that the ma'anes has, that he has a mitzvah to marry her. So the Gemara there says beferish that even if someone was ma'anes a woman with a biyashlo kedarka, he would be chayiv in the mitzvah of v'lo sia l'isha. So Taisus proves that the parsha of knas is there even by a biyashlo kedarka. The Rambam, however, disagrees with these Rishonim, and the Rambam in Hilchos Nair Besula, Perik Aleph Halacha Ches says, Ein ha'oines oyem afato chayiv b'knas ad sheyovoi oleho kedarka, that the oines and the mafata are not chayiv knas until there is a biyah kedarka. From the Rambam we see that a biyah shaloi kedarka would not be mechayiv knas. So from our Gemara would not be shver on the Rambam, because the Rambam could learn like Rashi and Erechin. However, the two other kashas that Taisus asks from the Gemara in Kedushin and from the Gemara in Yevamos would seem to be kashas on the Rambam Shita. That how could the Rambam say that only a biyah kedarka is chayiv knas? The Taisus Riyah Zoken in Kedushin and Daf Yud answers the second kasha on the Rambam from the Gemara in Yevamos and says that the Rambam holds that concerning the mitzvah of v'lo sia l'isha, you would be chayiv even with a biyah shaloi kedarka. When did the Rambam say that you need a biyah kedarka? That's concerning the chiyuv tashlumin to pay the knas. However, concerning the mitzvah, and the Gemara in Yevamos is talking about the mitzvah of v'lo sia l'isha, concerning the mitzvah, the Rambam would agree that a ma'anes with a biyah shaloi kedarka, even though he is potter from the chiyuv tashlumin, would be chayiv in the mitzvah of v'lo sia l'isha. This teretz of the Taisus Riyah Zoken is tzarich iyan to understand. Where can we find a mokar for such a chiluk to be mechalek between the mitzvah of v'lo sia l'isha, that you're chayiv even with a biyah shaloi kedarka, but concerning the tashlumin you need a biyah kedarka? So my father-in-law, Rav David Krongler, Zechroneh Livracha, in his Sefer Divrei David, says a pshat in the Taisus Riyah Zoken as follows. Abaya learned out that there's a chiyuv beishes upagam besides the chamishim shkolim from the pasuk v'nasan ha'ish hashochev ima lavi hanayra chamishim kesef v'lo sia l'isha pachas asher ina. The Abaya was medayik in the word pachas asher ina. This tells us that there are other tashlumin of beishes upagam. Rava argued in Abaya, and Rava brought a different diuk from the words of the pasuk hashochev ima, and that tells us that this is for hanoah shchiva, but there must be other tashlumin for the baishas of Bagam. We must understand as why did Rava argue with Abaya? Why did Rava not agree with Abaya and learn out from the words of Pachas Asher Ina? So we could say that the reason Rava argues is because Rava holds that since the words in the pasuk v'lo sia l'isha separate the two halves of the pasuk, separate the chiyuv knas from the words Pachas Asher Ina, the words Pachas Asher Ina are not immediately following the chamishim kesef, but are only after the words v'lo sia l'isha. The Rava holds that we cannot use the words tachas asher ina to tell us anything concerning the chamishim kesef, because it is not going on the chamishim kesef. It is only going on the words v'lo sia l'isha. Therefore, Rava had to learn out of the pasuk hashochev ima to teach us the din of beishes upagam. So according to this, we could then find a chiluk between the mitzvah of v'lo sia l'isha and the din of chamishim kesef. And we could explain the Taisus Riyah Zoken. Because since according to Rava, the words tachas asher ina only go on the mitzvah of v'lo sia l'isha, so we know that the definition of the words ina, as Rashi in Chumash in Parshas Vayishlach, and it's mefurish in the Gemara Newman of Ayin Zayin that the words ina include a bia shaloi kedarka. If so, since tachas asher ina goes on the pasuk of lo sil isha, the tachas asher ina is megawa that the mitzvah of lo sil isha is there even by a bia shaloi kedarka. However, concerning the chiyuv tashlumin, concerning the chiyuv knas, we have no gilui in the pasuk to say that even a bia shaloi kedarka is chayav. So therefore, the Taisus Riazokin is mechalek between the chiyuv tashlumin and the mitzvah of lo sil isha. And we know that the Rambam paskins like Rava, because the Rambam at the beginning of Perek Beis Mehilchos Naira says, "Chamishim kesef shel knas heim b'mei hanoas shchiva bilvad." So from those words of the Rambam, that the Rambam says the chamishim kesef is for hanoas shchiva, we see that the Rambam paskins like Rava. So since the Rambam holds like Rava, so therefore concerning the chiyuv tashlum and knas, the Rambam paskins that you need a bia kedarka. However, to explain the Gemara in Yavanis that says there's a mitzvah of lo sil isha even by bia shlo kedarka is because according to Rava, the words tachas asher ina go on the v'lo sil isha, and tachas asher ina means even a bia shlo kedarka, which tells us the mitzvah is even by bia shlo kedarka. So this would answer up the second kasha on the Rambam from the Gemara in Yavamis that says that the mitzvah of lo sil isha is even by bia shlo kedarka. So according to this, Rav David Zatzal continued and said that we can also answer the other kasha of the Rishonim. As the Rishonim asked a kasha from the Gemara in Kedushin of Daf Yud that said that if 10 people were born in Naira with bia shlo kedarka, they are all chayiv knas. So we could say that that Gemara is going according to Abaya, because as we explained, that Rava holds tachas asher ina only goes on the words v'lo sil isha, but Abaya obviously argues on this point. And Abaya holds that the words tachas asher ina are also teaching us something concerning the chiyuv knas. Therefore, he learned out that there's a din of boishas upagam. So once the words tachas asher ina are, according to Abaya, are going back in the words of the pasuk of chamishim kesef, so then we can say, according to Abaya, that he has a gilui in the pasuk that the chiyuv knas will be there even by bia shlo kedarka, because the words ina mean bia shlo kedarka, and according to Abaye, it is going back on the pasuk of Chamishim Kesef. So we could say that this is actually a machlokes between Rav and Abaye, whether there is a chiyuv knas by bia shlo kedarka. So we could say that the Gemara in Kedushin that says that there's a chiyuv knas even by bia shlo kedarka, that Gemara is going according to Abaye. And according to Abaye, we have a raya from the pasuk that there is a chiyuv knas even by bia shlo kedarka. However, the Rambam paskins like Rava, and according to Rava, since the words tachas asher ina are not going on the chiyuv knas, are only going on the mitzvah, so therefore the Rambam rejects the Gemara in Kedushin, and the Rambam paskins that the chiyuv knas requires a bia kedarka. However, the Gemara in Yavamis that said that there's a mitzvah of lo sil isha by a bia shlo kedarka could even be according to Rava, because Rava would agree that the mitzvah is there by a bia shlo kedarka.